Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to take you through every single game that will be launching with the Nintendo Switch 2 Day 1. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have a total of 24 games that will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 the same day it comes out, which is... Has there ever been a launch that substantial? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's get into it. Starting things off, we have the big dog itself. Yes, we have Mario Kart World. I'm sure I don't need to say much about this. You've probably already seen the trailer, but if you haven't, this is essentially an open world Mario Kart game. This is not a drill. I'm super excited for this. This is Nintendo's first party effort, but it's not their only first party effort because we also have Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Admittedly, this game does look a little bit like it should be a pack-in title, and apparently it isn't. We don't know how much it's going to cost, or at least that information isn't available at the time of recording, but this is kind of like a showcase of the Nintendo Switch 2's capabilities, including things like how it functions and like where the magnets are in the console to hold the Joy-Con on, and all those sort of things, and there's like little golf mini-game and stuff like that. There's quite a lot in here, but it really feels like it should be a pack-in title. But it's not. We also have Nintendo Switch 2 editions of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and if you already own these games and you've got Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack thing, you'll be able to get these games day one, upgraded for free. That is actually a nice little bonus. In a way, these are kind of like the pack-in games. Admittedly, you do have to own the original versions of the game. You can't just get these for free, but, you know, how many people won't? I mean, there's bound to be some, but it's not many. The updated graphics and the frame rate here, it's just to die for, and I'm really looking forward. I'm probably going to end up starting these games again, or at least I would if I didn't have to work on all the other games that we've got on this list, because it's going to take me forever. I don't know how we're going to cover all of these. Next up, we have Street Fighter 6, and this comes in two versions. I'm not counting it as two games, but it comes in two versions. You've got the standard version, and you've got the Years 1 to 2 Fighters Edition, which is a horrible title. I'm sorry, Capcom. I've not actually given Street Fighter 6 a go at all yet, so I'm really keen to be able to do it finally on Switch, and I've got to be honest, this looks like a damn fine port. There's also a load of new amiibo coming with this as well, some new like proper statuette amiibo and amiibo cards. Fun! We also have Split Fiction, and I was really hoping that this would come to Switch 2, and I'm very, very happy that it is. Not only that, but on launch day as well. This is by the same people who did It Takes Two, and I loved that game, so I'm desperate to give this one a go. We also have Hogwarts Legacy, which is still running at 30 frames a second, but it does at least look a lot better than it did on Switch 1. We also have Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, which... oh, lordy. I've played the more recent Hitman games a bit, not nearly as much as I would like. There was a Cloud Edition released on Switch, and that was certainly something. But this is the real McCoy. This is the real deal. I really love the sort of the emergent gameplay you get from these. That's the buzzword, isn't it? Emergent gameplay. You can do the assassination however you like. You can throw a briefcase at them. You can make them slip up on a banana skin as they show. It looks great. I know it's going to be great, and that's all I need. Next up, we have Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, and I've got to be brutally honest, this looks more like an upscale port than anything else. I mean, admittedly, it's only called Remaster, but... I mean, it's not very impressive to look at. I did enjoy Bravely Default on the 3DS, and it'd be fun to play through it again, but I can't help but feel that this is one of the more underwhelming announcements here. That might just be me, though. Tell me I'm an idiot in the comments if that's the case. Moving on, we have Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. And a load of people were asking why we got Yakuza Kiwami on Switch and not Yakuza 0, and apparently it's because they wanted to do a Switch 2 version. Fair enough. We also have Deltarune, and whilst Deltarune has been available on Switch, at least chapters 1 and 2 have, this includes chapters 3 and 4 as well, so unless I'm very much mistaken, you're getting twice as much as we got on Switch 1. I actually have Undertale now, finally, so I've got no excuses. I should probably play it. Next up, we have Sid Meier's Civilization 7. Now, we did have a Switch 1 version of this, and I reviewed it, and I really enjoyed it, but it is a bit of a bitter pill to swallow that it's coming out on Switch 2 so soon after the original, and you have to pay for an upgrade. It's like, oh, come on, throw us a bone. Even so, I am I'm keen to see what this is like with mouse controls. I actually like the controller, like standard controller controls, but it's always nice to have options. It's always nice to have options. Next up, I don't know whether this was announced or anyone knew anything about this before. Survival Kids? I don't really know what to make of this. It looks all right. It doesn't really look like my cup of tea. It does definitely look like it's aimed towards kids, but who knows? Maybe it's a diamond in the rough. Maybe it's one of those things where no one will remember it in 5 years' time. We just don't know. Up next, it's a biggie. It's Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. And when this was announced, I was like, oh yeah, that's good. That's a good thing to put out. And then when they said this was coming out launch day, I was, oh my god. This is coming out on launch? How did they sit on this? How did this not get leaked? It's good, don't get me wrong, but I have never properly given this the time of day. I have played it briefly. There was a free trial you could get on Xbox for a while, and it may have been on other platforms as well, and you could play the first 2 hours or something like that. I can't quite remember. And I just couldn't get stuck into it. Maybe because I knew I wasn't going to be able to put more than 2 hours in before paying for it. But, now's the time, clearly. Now's the time. Next up, and apologies in advance for the pronunciation of this, Kunitsu-Gami, Path of the Goddess. Actually, that pronunciation, maybe it wasn't too bad. This is kind of like a strategy, action-based game, and it's got various elements of tower defense and things like that. I can't quite wrap my head around it from what I've seen online, but it does look interesting, and it's not the game that would normally be on my radar, and so it's quite exciting that it is for Switch 2. So how about that? Moving on, we have Puyo Tetris 2S, which is Puyo Tetris again. I like Puyo, I like Tetris, but I've got to be honest, the extra bonus features in this game I never really got along with, at least on the original version on Switch. The story mode and stuff like that, I just don't need it. It just doesn't appeal to me. Feels like it's written by a 13-year-old, I'm sorry. But this does come with some new gubbins. It's got a new doubles mode, which allows you to play on the same column? Map? What would you call it? Play area? So you can have two people in one game, which is actually pretty cool. And you can also have mouse controls if that tickles your pickle. Next up, it's Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma. And this is interesting because this was announced as coming on the 30th of May on Switch 1. And so the Switch 2 version is coming just 6 days later? I'm sure there are going to be plenty of people who aren't going to buy the Switch 2 but still want to play this game on their Switch 1. But it does sort of feel just wait 6 days and get the Switch 2 version. We also have, apologies for pronunciation on this one as well, Nobunaga's Ambition Awakening Complete Edition, which from what I can tell from my research is kind of a sort of a management sim, kind of, I suppose in a bit way, almost a bit like Football Manager in some way, but it's more about unifying Japan. Presumably by force. It's another one of those games that wouldn't have been on my radar, so it's quite exciting to see it coming to Switch 2. And next up, this one would definitely be on my radar, Fast Fusion. I saw this and I knew immediately that this was a sequel, or at least a follow-up, to Fast RMX and indeed Fast Racing Neo and Fast Racing. If you didn't know, Fast RMX was a launch title for the Nintendo Switch, and it was one of the few launch titles, and it was absolutely stunning. It blew loads of people away, myself included, because it was an absolute stunner. And I have every confidence that that's going to be the same again here, because the compression from the live stream did not like it, which means there's a lot of fine detail going on here. Oh, is this going to be another 4K 60 game like Metroid Prime? We also have Fortnite to look forward to, which I suppose isn't entirely surprising. The Switch has a huge install base, and I know that Fortnite isn't exactly supremely liked on the Switch just because it's not a great version of the game, so it should run better. Well, we can see it runs better on Switch 2. Fingers crossed that it will do the game justice. I say that, I haven't played it in about 4 or 5 years, so maybe take my opinion with a pinch of salt. We also have Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer. Not what I said in a recent video where we talked about the Direct where I called it Ridge Racer 2. It's Arcade Archives 2, which is like a new version of Arcade Archives, or at least a new system for Arcade Archives, which includes some new features like rewind, save states, and online. pretty cool, don't get me wrong, but that naming convention, it tripped me up. And finally, we have the 3 GameCube games that are coming to Nintendo Switch Online. The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX. Now, I've played The Wind Waker to death, absolutely. Soul Calibur, I've never really played. I did buy it, actually, surprisingly recently. And F-Zero GX, never even touched it. Often wanted to, never been able to find a copy for a reasonable price, so I am dead keen to give this one a go. And that is it. At the time of recording, those are the 24 games that will all be available day 1 on the Nintendo Switch 2. That is a lot, and no doubt, there'll be some more announced between now and then. Not guaranteed by any means, but I think it's quite likely. It's quite likely, and I welcome any new additions. What do you make of this starting lineup? Do you think it's fantastic? Do you think it's a little bit lacking? If you do, what's wrong with you? But by all means, you're allowed to have that opinion. Let us know if that's the case with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you watch out for the release of that new subscribe button? It's out now, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.